From across the comic book community multiverse, the Comic-Con podcast begins now with your hosts, Justin, aka Nemesis Prime.
If you give them the title of influencer, then that's giving them more power, right? That's how it is. Like, I'm a nobody. Listen, I'm a nobody.
Zack, aka the Manimal.
We talked about it for a full, I believe, 7 to 8 minutes on an hour-long normal podcast for a show. And you would have thought we set their house on fire with the backlash. So, yo, everybody, welcome back. Comic-Con Podcast, Season 3, Episode 34. The OG crew, no guests, no filters, no fluff. Just the Manimal and the Nemesis. What's up, dude?
Hey, buddy, what's going on? It's a Thursday. We're recording it.
Yeah.
Happy to be here as always.
So Justin's on, just so you guys know, Justin's been on a little bit of a suicide watch the past couple hours with whatnot being down and glitchy, and he's got a big show tonight. And if you're listening to this, you probably already missed out on your opportunity to win a PS5. But Justin's got a big show, which I'm sure we'll hear about a little bit later. But he's chugging beers and trying to calm the nerves.
Just a little bit, man. So we'll see if and if all the boxes don't sell, then we got them scheduled for Friday night. So make sure if you're listening to this early enough, you can bookmark it. So
there you go. Oh, so that if you don't sell them all, you're gonna double up on Friday and do it as well.
Yeah, I mean, obviously the idea is so I made 13 boxes. I mean, let's just talk about it now. So I made 13 boxes. They're all Star Wars slabs. Start $200. I think the ceiling is like $400, and you get a 1 in 13 chance to win a PS5. That fucking easy.
Nice.
So I'm hoping they all go tonight. If not, then I just have it already set up for Friday night.
Oh, okay. So like, and then will you do the drawing for the PS5 on Friday?
Yeah, then I'll finish it up. Yeah, then I'll finish it up on Friday. And if it doesn't, then I'll just have to carry it over until somebody fucking buys them all.
Sweet.
But the idea.
Cool deal. Well, let's jump into this right now. We got a bunch of questions here from the community. There's 2 of them that are themed, and we'll kind of keep those towards the end. But the first one, let's start with, we got a question from Russ T22. He says, guys, if you could write or draw your own comic, what would it be about? Justin, want to field this one?
That's a great question. I'm a big fan of like post-apocalyptic stuff. So, there's no, I love like anything, post-war or whatever. So I mean, I'd like to see obviously they just announced that the Fallout series is coming out to Amazon in 2024. And I would love to see like a Fallout, like that type of thing where it's legit, like post-nuclear apocalypse. And it's not like zombies, like The Last of Us or I don't know, like World War Z or any of the zombie stuff, but it'd just be cool to have like that where it's set in like almost like the 50s or 60s as far as like equipment, right? Like that's what I loved about the Fallout series, that it's not like futuristic. So like people have like modern technology, or really not even say modern technology, but just like like the basic stuff. So I would really love to see, and I would love to write something like post-apocalyptic, because that's always like my go-to for like movies or series. So and there's not really much out there because like I said, everything it's always done in that way is like zombies, right?
Yeah,
it's always like a bacteria thing,
like
or
a pandemic thing. Yeah. Lately it has been. It definitely goes in waves, though. So that's cool. I'm surprised you don't like you're not reading Undiscovered Country then.
I guess I'll have to try it.
I mean, it's post-apocalyptic not in a way. It is definitely, and it's just kind of a different feel. It's cool.
All right. Cates did that, right?
No, Snyder.
Oh,
it's still ongoing right now.
Okay.
Scott Snyder and Charles Soule.
What am I thinking that Cates did? That's something.
Oh, you're thinking crossover.
Nope. No? That's like an older book. It was like
God Country?
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. Okay.
We found it.
Yeah. No, I figured you'd get it with the names that we've already said. So
I don't know, man. And this is a really tough one because obviously it always kind of depends on like what your feel is. I think right now I'm big into, as I'm sitting here looking at the book too, like I really love like the supernatural kind of like hell aspect. Like I'm sitting here looking at Charles Soule, Hell to Pay right now. And so I really like that kind of genre right now. My dream, if ever, would be to write some kind of an X-Men arc for sure, but I don't know. Right now, I don't know. Ideas come in and out all the time, and sometimes you're like, oh, they're good, and then you're like, I don't like that one anymore, and it always kind of changes as you move along. So I don't have a great answer to that question. So, but thank you, Rusty22. So next question, Justin, this one's going to be, I think, a good one for you. A friend of ours asks, can you give us the origin story of Jules?
I think we just have to have Jules come on the show. I don't really think, Black Crown, thanks for the comment, for the message. And again, these questions are coming directly from the Comic-Con podcast's Instagram stories. So when you see it, typically, and I've been trying to get it early enough where we record. So I set it up on Thursday morning. We got a bunch of them. So we're going to get to all of them today because it's fun. I like doing, this way we do the community questions. So yeah, Jules's story, unfortunately, he would have to come on the podcast, or we would have to get the okay to kind of give us provide his origin story. So, sorry, Black Crown.
Bit of an inside joke at the moment, but
yes, but true community member.
So we have two more, but Justin, you said you had one before we get into these other two.
Well, let's do the first one, and then obviously we'll end. We'll go with because mine's kind of like weird, but go with the newer one that we just talked about.
The newer one,
the Milton one.
Oh yeah. So yeah, we had a question asking if we ever have indie writers on the show, and if we're ever interested in doing that. And yeah, for sure. We always love talking to anyone from the community. We've had from larger names to smaller names on the show all the time to give us their take on the comic book community, what they're doing, if they have any projects out there. I mean, we're very big on trying to push people's stuff, and get awareness out there for anyone's projects. So yeah, I mean, we love having anyone who's interested in coming on ever to talk about projects or anything they're working on. We'd definitely be interested in that.
Yeah, just hit us up. So before we get to our last question, I did receive this one. It was actually a DM the other day. Actually, there's a DM on the podcast's Instagram. This was from Marianne. Geez, I can't even read this last name. So it says, hi there. It's Max reaching out from Premier Class Models. I noticed you're excelling as an OnlyFans creator, and I wanted to share some exciting news. Wait a second.
I thought for a second this was a BS one because the way I'm reaching out.
It says here at Premier Class, we are all about propelling creators like you to new heights, unlocking the full potential of your content and connecting you with a world of opportunities. I don't know how they saw we're OnlyFans creators, but
OnlyFans,
yeah, that's kind of it's a little weird. So yeah, that's just funny. I was just like a spam message that randomly we got. I was just like, yo, I read that. I was like, yo, I have to read that. So
yeah, these last two questions are Ahsoka themed. So I kind of put them together. One's a question, one's a statement, and the statement's kind of funny because Justin and I talked about it, but yesterday I told you when we were talking on the phone about Ahsoka, and I said I had to own my being wrong. How I previously said when we were talking about Ahsoka that the first two episodes were going to drop simultaneously, and that I was always kind of like, I don't know if I believe in the Disney Plus way of dropping two episodes, and usually it's because the first episode's not good standalone, and they have to do a second one. And I
couldn't figure out that statement.
Oh, like this quote with this guy?
Yeah. I couldn't get this question from
SLRDOHC.
Yeah.
So he says Manimal, or he or she says Manimal was wrong about these intro episodes. They were awesome. And that's right. I was 100% wrong about the Ahsoka episode 1 ended like with a cliffhanger and was awesome and pleasantly surprised. So I will formally apologize and eat my words for that. But the next question we have from Astro Wizard Comics is, what was the worst thing about Ahsoka and your favorite part as well? Can you even come up with one? You can't. You're such a stan, dude. You're such a stan for Ahsoka that I don't think you can even come up with one bad thing about it.
I didn't like that. All right, let's go with the bad. And you know what the problem is? I really don't want to talk about this so early because obviously we'll probably talk about it mid-season and after episode 4, and then we'll do our final review. So, but I guess you have to talk about it because again, we were planning on possibly going live, doing a watch party on Tuesday night, but this guy has a baby and it's really tough. And I have 2 cat kids. No, I don't care. This guy's got a problem, but And I didn't want to go against the Lords of the Long Box, and I could care less if we went against the Newbieverse on a Tuesday night. So, probably the worst thing about Ahsoka, I didn't like that they they obviously this goes to like cliffhangers, right? Like you enjoy the cliffhangers week to week, right? Instead of a binge watch.
Right.
I didn't like that the cliffhanger for episode 1 was like Sabine getting hurt. Like you all knew she wasn't gonna die, right?
Yeah,
Like that was just like kind of like
a throwaway.
yeah, like oh my god, she got stabbed, and it just makes this whole thing like oh my god, like to the casual viewer, right? To the casual viewer, be like, oh my god, she's dead after just coming back. Like it was just like I don't know.
Yeah,
That was one thing I
get
definitely
you.
didn't like. But my favorite part,
oh yeah, favorite.
let me just do my favorite part is, and we're sticking with Sabine, is just her intro was awesome. Like, that's the music that kicked on. Like, you don't hear that, right? That's not normal Star Wars music. Like, she's like a teenage rebel, and I say that as a rebel, not rebel as in Star Wars rebel, but just like the grunge thing is like a world that we've never really seen too much. And I know, like, the whole underground, the whole bounty hunter stuff. There's a lot of stuff that's underground to Star Wars that we really haven't seen, like that whole scum and villainy. And I think the whole like just that awesome, it was such a great scene. Like her on the speeder bike, like listening to music, like not giving a crap about like the two E-wings that are, the one guy's like trying to hail her. And I just thought it was different. And I feel like that's something that's going to be next year when they do the Star Wars Outlaws game. It's like an open world Star Wars game. And that's what you're going to see is like a very different side of the Star Wars universe. Like no Jedis, like it's something that's below like the normal level of what we've always seen. So that was definitely my favorite part. Like as soon as she was on screen and like the music kicked in, I was like, yo, this is really different.
Yeah.
And everything else that happened in the episodes. So
I don't know. I don't really have like I mean, I can come up with something that I wasn't crazy about, but by no means do I think anything was bad about these episodes. And just something Justin and I talked about as well as and I this could all work itself out as it goes down the road, but I think initially the one thing that I'm not like the craziest about is I don't like the idea. I never was really, and we kind of said it too when we watched the trailer. I was never really keen on the idea of Sabine being being trained as a Jedi. I don't like the idea of having these like characters that are so strong and so great on their own. And then it's also like, let's make them a Jedi. Or even with Morgan Elsbeth, let's also make her part Dathomirian, Dathomirian. And so I feel like in a way that takes away from the strength of these characters because it's almost like you're like, well, let's check this box and let's check this box. Let's make them cool with this way. We'll give her a lightsaber as well. Like, and honestly, it was cool. Like I like Sabine with a lightsaber. So far, it's been great. But I will, if I'm being completely honest, it also harkens back to like the sequel trilogy and when they give Finn a lightsaber for like no reason. You know what I mean? It's like not everyone needs a lightsaber, dude. Not everyone deserves a lightsaber. Like I'm much more interested in seeing Sabine wield her double guns. I don't need a lightsaber in her hands. So, but we'll see how the plot lays out and how the story goes, and it all might it might not be a big deal. But like I said, that doesn't make me. I'm not saying that I have really strong feelings towards that, but if I had to find something I didn't like, it'd be that.
And I'm glad they immediately explained that in season 2,
right?
Season 2, in episode 2 with Hewan, that she's like has no force abilities, like she's no force sensitivity at all, which is like perfect. Like that's the way it should be. Like she's just a straight up Mandalorian. Like let's not. Yeah, maybe she was just trained in the like anybody can be trained in the arts, I guess, right? Like anybody can be trained in any type of art, but I guess the reason why they're gonna have this is because obviously it's like the yin to the yang. Like you have Balin and Shin, and then you have Ahsoka and Sabine. Like you have to have like two people having lightsabers on both sides.
Yeah, and a little dynamic between them.
Yeah.
But favorite part, man, that's tough. It was all really good. So I don't really know if this is my favorite part, but something I really liked, and obviously it's different because of events, but after the first episode, I loved how they put For Our Friend Ray. And then honestly, all the scenes with Ray Stevenson just kind of hit a little harder. I think his character has so much gravitas, even like the end scene of episode 2, just kind of how he talks and even how he's like, he's talking about, Morgan asks, like, do we need to kill Ahsoka? And he's kind of like, he's hesitant about it. He's like, no, there's not that many Jedi left. Like, even though he's not a Jedi anymore, and he's obviously kind of a bad guy, like he still respects her, still respects the Jedi. So I think, yeah, I don't know. I think right now, as of the first 2 episodes, like Ray Stevenson's character, I'm really intrigued by. I really want to know more about him for sure.
Mhm.
So, but yeah,
Nice. Thanks for the questions, everybody.
yes, I missed the recorded questions.
Yeah, it's been such a long time, but
yeah. So anyway, well, moving on, we're gonna get into some articles here. Like always, it's a little rough right now with no movie news, but we do have some comic book news. So we have a DC article. Justin, you want to take it away?
yeah. So if you're not currently reading the Batman Superman World's Finest, which has been taken over by Mark Waid and Dan Mora, which you should be because it's been pretty awesome actually this entire run. But starting this fall, DC returns to the world of Kingdom Come in a new comic. So of course, if you don't know, if you've never read Kingdom Come by Mark Waid, which was back in 1997. It was a mini series by, of course, Mark Waid and also Alex Ross, which is unbelievably awesome. It's kind of a post dystopian, like with Superman, he's retired, and then there's all these other things that happen, but I'm not going to kind of get into the whole meat and potatoes of it. But later on this year in the fall, Dan Mora and Mark Waid are going to be bringing back the fan favorite characters from that universe in World's Finest. So starting in issue 20, which comes out in October, you're going to see the return of quite a lot of the characters. Superman's former proteges also showing up, and of course a dynamic duo on this earth will be seeing the jaded Superman, the broken Batman, of course, because it's like post Nightfall. You get the war hungry Wonder Woman haul into the world of Kingdom Come. So you can check out this article over at comicbook.com. And it's just really awesome to see this because we haven't seen this in over 20 years. Like they really never, brought this back. It's not something that like they've done in any type of Elseworlds or, all these miniseries that they've ever done or like spinoffs. We've never seen them bring this back except for briefly in the Arrowverse when they did that Crisis on Infinite Earths. We saw Kevin Conroy play like that version of Batman with like that metallic that suit. So I'm excited for this. Dan Moore is one of my favorite artists out there, like obviously Once and Future and crushed it on all that, and he's been doing a hell of a job at the Batman Superman World's Finest, and hopefully he shows up in New York Comic Con this year with some OA because I really would love to pick up some pages of something. So what about you, man? What are you thinking on the Batman's World Finest? I know like they've had different start off, I think, with different writers, but the art has been phenomenal. What are you thinking of bringing back these like characters from an old series that we haven't seen in so long?
I mean, it's been a long time since I've read Kingdom Come for sure. Where I honestly, I barely remember it at this point. But I'm not reading World's Finest. I do like Mark Waid. I love Dan Mora as well. And I think it's a really cool idea. I don't know if I'll be picking it up. I might just kind of wait to see what you have to say about it. But I think it's cool that they're bringing it back. Kingdom Come to me is always like, obviously, I'm kind of late to the party when it comes to DC, like collecting DC in the past like 15 years maybe. So I always equate Kingdom Come kind of to like the Earth X trilogy that was in Marvels,
Yeah, I remember that.
Also Alex Ross as well. And so, yeah, I like that idea. It's cool. It was before. It's tricky with these kind of Elseworlds titles because they're just so overdone these days, right? And so it is surprising they haven't like oversaturated the Kingdom Come universe, which is a good thing. So it also kind of makes you worried, right? Like bringing it back now. But
yeah, that's what the article says. It's either gonna, it could create some interesting continuality or some logical headaches, they say.
Yeah. So I don't know. I mean, I'm sure some people are really going to love it. Like I said, I'll probably just wait to see what people say about it. I don't think I'll be picking it up. But I think it's a cool idea.
So. Yeah, and especially it's the fact that it's Mark Waid, so it's not like someone else is trying to like just have someone who's read both Kingdom Come and then the Kingdom that was in like 99, like 2 years later, both done by Waid. it's not like someone just read that and now they're trying to expand on that, right? Like the same thing, like Marvel's doing that, and I love the series, even though it's not getting high praises, is the X-Men Days of Future Past, like that ongoing, which is like the like it's not written by Claremont. So everything that's kind of coming up is like just their interpretation of what happened prior to, basically no mutants and the Sentinels taking over.
Right. Yeah. Kind of filling in the gaps there. It's a cool series. I do like that one too. But yeah, we'll see how it goes, man. We'll see what people think about it. But
yes.
Moving on to some Marvel news. I'm pretty excited about this one. So over at Marvel.com, obviously, if you haven't been paying attention, we got Wolverine versus the Predator is coming out here in, I think it's September. And man, I'm actually, I'm not typically like a fan of these like crossover things because they always feel like they're kind of like throwaway. Didn't we talk about the Street Fighter Ninja Turtles and all that stuff?
Yeah, those IDW ones are.
Yeah, but I mean, Marvel does it too. Like Marvel did, didn't they do an Alien one recently? Someone versus Alien, as well.
No.
I don't know.
They did just the covers, like like when they bought 20th Century Fox, they had like the covers, but nothing like crossover. Nothing crossed over yet.
I typically wouldn't pick these up, right? Like this, like if it wasn't Predator versus Wolverine, and if it wasn't actually like written by Benjamin Percy, who's also writing like X-Force and Wolverine currently, I probably wouldn't pick this up. But at first, when I saw the title of it, I was like, oh God, really? And then I kind of started to think about it, and I was like, actually, this could be really cool. Like, I mean, that's a pretty awesome idea of Wolverine and the Predator hunting each other. So, yeah, what do you think, man?
Dude, I'm super excited. Like, I'm happy that it's Wolverine, that it's not like Deadpool, because it would have been corny.
Yeah.
Growing up in the 80s, 90s of comic books, like I read all those, like Batman versus Predator, and then like the Superman Predator and the terrible Justice League Predator. But like I read all those, and they were like, the Batman Predator was awesome. Like I remember the Kuberts did it, Andy and Adam, like fucking amazing. It was just like such a cool thing. And then the Aliens one was interesting because then there was like a Joker alien. It was like wild. It was crazy stuff that happened. But yeah, man, like because the whole idea of like Wolverine, best there ever is, best there was type
best
of thing.
Best there is what he does. Yeah.
Yeah, man, like that's awesome. I find it very interesting because they have multiple artists on these issues, right? So according to it, it's got some all-star artists from Greg Land, Andrea DeVito, Ken Lashley, and Kiai Zama, and many more. So like my question is there like multiple stories in it, or are they like taking different pages?
Yeah,
that's the one thing that the only thing that's kind of like throwing me off. But just from the synopsis goes, the thrill is to kill. Wolverine has lived one of the longest and most storied lives in comics history. Now witness the untold greatest battle, Logan's life against a predator. One what are they called? Yajuto?
Yeah, I guess.
Yeah, Yajuto seeks the greatest prey in existence and finds it in Weapon X. From the blood-ridden snows of the Canadian wilderness to the sword-slinging streets of Madripoor, Wolverine and Predator break everything in their paths on their way to the ultimate victory or glorious death. And that's the thing. Like Wolverine's the type of character who can literally go against the Predator and probably come out at least like, not as bad as some of these other characters in the Marvel universe. And the fact that, now that they have the license, that's what's great about it, is that you can do these like crossovers. So
yeah, it looks like it's going to take place like during the Weapon X period, right? Because on the cover you see like the Weapon X like wires and all that stuff, and very much like maybe it's during an escape, or maybe when he's with Weapon X, they release him to go hunt down the Predator or something like that. I guess one of my fears is like, because these two characters could be really violent, right? And like you could have a lot of gore and a lot of blood, and it would be really, really cool.
Yeah.
And so that's an awesome idea. But at Marvel, like when does Marvel really push the limits on that kind of stuff? Like Dark Horse, of course, totally did. And DC probably would have no issue with it. I'm a little hesitant to see what Marvel's going to do on the violence and on the gore, with Wolverine and Predator. But I will be picking this up. I definitely will be picking it up. There's a ton of variant covers. What am I counting here? Like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 that are listed here.
Yeah, and that's probably not even
cover,
yeah, and that's not even like, I'm sure like people are doing exclusives for this, right?
Oh yeah,
like there's definitely going to be some retailer exclusives. I mean, I love like even just like the teaser that they showed where it just kind of has like him and he's all bloody and he's got like the three, the laser dot from like the
Yeah,
Predator. But like,
yeah,
yeah, some of these are cool. Obviously, you get the homage cover for like the Hulk 344, where it's obviously there's two different covers. There's one with like the mainstay is Wolverine and you see Predator and his blades, and then the vice versa is the Predator
yeah. That's
and you
cool.
see Wolverine and his blades. Like that's just awesome. And it's just crazy to think that they were never able to do this before, even though like Predator was with Dark Horse, because it was the same thing. Like, I mean, if you Google like Predator crossovers, I mean, Predator's crossed over with like Valiant, he's crossed over in the
Yeah,
Archie stuff. Like, it's just like wild. And the fact that like Marvel never wanted to do this, but now that they have the rights, it's going to be interesting to see where this actually lands, like after the 4 issues and how well it does.
Okay, so which cover is the worst?
Probably the Peach Momoko.
Yes, dude, it's awful. It's so garbage. And like that's not even because I'm not a Peach Momoko fan, but why would you with these two characters? I mean, like know your like audience here. Why she can't I don't know, dude. It just
Yeah.
her artwork on two characters like Predator versus Wolverine. No, man, it's horrible.
Yeah.
Which one's your favorite then?
To be honest, I like the Scotty Young.
It's cool. The Scotty Young is
Yeah,
cool.
I really like the Scotty Young one. I think that's definitely interesting
Which
cover.
one's this one? The McNiven one's awesome. I like
Mhm.
that. That one definitely super bloody. Which one else did I like? I do like the cover A too. I mean, like the main cover.
I think they're all great,
Yeah.
except for the Peach one. And it's not a again, it's not a hate on Peach. She just sometimes just doesn't. The covers are. I feel like
It's not her style, dude. It's not
Yeah.
her like I don't even know what the word I'm looking for here is. She shouldn't be doing Wolverine versus Predator. Let's say that.
Yeah. Oh my god.
Yeah.
Definitely not.
It's bad. But yeah, that's gonna be a fun one. And that comes out when? September, right? September 20th, I think.
Yes, next month. It's crazy. It's funny. Like I completely didn't know about it until maybe like a couple of weeks ago, and I'm like, we got to talk about this because I need. I definitely want to see what your thoughts are, and sure a lot of people are probably going to miss out on it, or it's going to be like wait till the last minute and be like, oh yeah, this is a cool crossover series because everybody's so used to just coming out with their ongoing stuff that you miss sometimes these little like one shots and minis that get announced.
For sure. Yeah, I can't remember when I saw it, but I was definitely intrigued. So it's cool. So moving on, we do have some speculative movie news over at Marvel. So we got an article here from Screen Rant. 10 Marvel characters who could be Thor 5's powerful villain. But before we get into that, I mean, do we even want a Thor 5 at this point? I mean, is that really a movie we're looking for?
I don't know.
What are you doing? Where are you taking Thor's character at this point?
Yeah, so director Taika Waititi suggests that Thor 5 needs a more powerful villain than Hela, potentially Hercules or Ulik, to showcase Thor's evolution to create a new tone for the film.
Again, and I love what's his name? I love Taika
Waititi.
Yeah, I like him, but have we? I'm like, dude, Ragnarok. Okay, it was funny, it was cool, it was different, and then Love and Thunder kind of ruined it. Is he going to be able to make another movie, which it would be like somewhere in the middle, I guess, between the tones of Thor's 1 and 2 to Thor's 3 and 4? Because that's what I feel like we need. He's just a ridiculous character at this point.
Yeah, you got to bring him back, right? And it's got to be a serious thing because they've all said it. Like they recently just posted after a year that Gore was such a waste, and everybody's commented like on they need a stronger villain than Hela, and you had it and you ruined it with with Gore. So this list goes, we're gonna just rattle them off real quick, and I mean, some of them I know, some of them I don't know, but you got Hercules, you got Ulik, you have Mangog, you have Ares, of course, you have Black Winter, more of a newer character, Grog, Absorbing Man, Nobilis, and Zaro, the Tomorrow Man, and last but not least is Mephisto. So
let's talk about a few of these. So obviously we got Hercules in the post-credit scene, which first off, Hercules is more of a good guy than a villain in the Marvel universe. So that's kind of going to be a no, right? Maybe that's why he's number 10 on this as well.
But let's be honest, that's probably where they're going to go, right?
I mean, I guess I don't know, but like now you're just doing more of mean, what's new with that storyline? Like, hey, look, it's gods versus gods. You know, I mean, like, that's not very interesting. So I
Mhm.
don't know. Maybe there'll be more to it. I'm glad Hercules is showing up in the MCU. I'm not entirely sure. I need to see him fighting Thor. And I guess if we're gonna also do the God thing, out of the two of them, Ares would be the one, in my opinion, that you would
Yeah.
go to.
But the only
But
thing with that is I feel like, and I'm sure you were going to say this, is like we've already seen that in Wonder Woman, right?
exactly, been done before, right? Like, I mean, we're kind of just seeing the same shit over and over again. Black Winter, I don't know. That's kind of one of those. It's kind of one of those like existential like catastrophes, not like a hard villain, like a physical force. It's just like a hurricane coming at you. You know, I don't really know if that's worth seeing on the big screen, right?
Yeah, it's going to be very odd. Like I can't imagine that being like the villain at all. I
Yeah.
mean, for like some of these other characters too, I feel like are more like B and C level like
Oh,
Avengers threats, like
if that
Absorbing Man.
some of these
Yeah.
guys, yeah,
Yeah.
right.
Absorbing Man. Like I can't remember like when he really is totally gone up against, Thor that to make it like a crazy thing. I think some of these characters that have more of a potential, um, I think Nobulus, because that kind of brings in obviously we've already got that introduction into like space with high evolutionary and
Mhm.
stuff like that. So that kind of brings in that whole side of a more, you know, uh almost like a clone in a way, I guess is the best way
Yeah,
to kind of
yeah.
talk about him. So that I could see. I don't know. Everybody else is just kind of,
Who would it be? Would it just be like, would it just be Chris Hemsworth with like black hair playing against himself? Maybe.
bas- basically.
I mean, didn't actually Hemsworth even say? I mean, he had that whole bout with that health issue where he's kind of like done acting. Did Are we at a
Yeah, I
point where he
forget
said
what
he's
it's
back or
called.
not? I don't
No,
remember.
I can't remember what he said he has, like
Yeah.
early stages of something, but
Oh, it was Alzheimer's or
oh
something.
yeah, that's what it was.
Yeah.
Yes.
And then I know he said he was pretty much done acting, and then I feel like maybe I heard that he was coming back. I don't know. Honestly, I don't need Thor in another. I don't need another Thor movie. If we're gonna have Thor, make him in like an ensemble movie, right? Like the
Hmm.
Avengers or whatever, or back to Guardians or whatnot. Mephisto as a Thor villain. I mean, no, dude, that's a waste of Mephisto. Like, first off, how often does Mephisto and Thor even go up against each other? Like, Mephisto
Yeah.
needs to be with the supernatural characters.
Yeah. I would be super scared if they brought him in a non horror
Yeah,
supernatural being. Like, there's no way you introduce him there at all.
yeah, that just doesn't fit. So, yeah, I don't know, man. I don't know about those characters. If that's the best they got, and they might need to scrap Thor 5 and just kind of focus on something else. So,
Mhm. So we'll see what happens.
yeah,
I mean, and to be honest, I don't really like Taika Waititi doing it anymore. I feel like Marvel should learn their lesson.
right. I feel like
Like,
Marvel's not learning their lessons.
yeah, I mean, to be honest, like, what has he really done that's been like, super well? Like, what did
Ragnarok was amazing.
but was it?
I mean, I really liked it. I really liked it at the time. I still like it despite the stain of like Love and Thunder and like where it went. It definitely
Mm,
was needed for Thor's character. Like there was just nothing after Dark World. There was
agreed,
nothing good about Thor.
but he just went so stupid. Like,
Yeah, it was a little. Yeah, I'm with you. I don't like all the humor as much either, but it kind of honestly, you might be able to say that that was the downside of the MCU. Like after that did so well, then it was like, hey, let's make all of our characters like goofy and campy.
mm,
So I
yeah.
don't know.
What do you
But
think on
yeah.
I mean obviously, since we're talking Marvel and they kind of recently they showed a picture of like the I don't even know if you would call this like the new trinity of the Avengers because obviously we don't have them. The Shang-Chi, Black Panther and um Captain America, like Falcon, Sam Wilson. Like
Hmm.
what do you think on like that as like the next team? Cuz we really don't have a team.
Yeah.
Like we don't have a leader, we don't really have a team. You know what? And it's sad to say this, but I feel like Chadwick Boseman's passing really hurt.
these phases. Like
Really
super hurt these phases. Like
Yeah, there was definitely bigger plans for him.
yeah.
Probably taking over.
Yeah. I mean, I think it would have been a lot it would have been a completely different thing. You know, Shang-Chi, we don't even have an idea of when his next movie is. We have no idea what his post-credit scene meant.
Yeah, well, and I mean, going to Chadwick Boseman as well. I mean, you can even see it in the comics, right? We always say the comics mirror whatever's happening in the comics is kind of like back and forth. In the Avengers at that time, Black Panther was running the Avengers. He was the leader of the Avengers. So it really did seem like that's the way it was going, and it was very unfortunate because that would have been pretty cool. Like I would have been on board with that, with like the remaining Avengers that were left. But I don't know. Like, well, speaking of Shang-Chi, like you said, we've only had one movie with him, right? Like, we don't know, is he good with the team? And I'm not talking about Aquafina, right? Like, I don't care how he operates with Aquafina, but like, can he operate with a team? Can he lead a team? Can he be a member of a team for that? I don't know.
Can he even show up again? Like,
yeah.
Like, is he? I mean, what's his contract that he's maybe going to show up for a second movie, and then I guess the Secret Wars or Kang Dynasty? Like, is that really the next time that we're going to see some of these characters?
And Shuri, nah, dude. I mean, no. And look, I like Falcon, or Sam Wilson as Captain America. That's cool too. But I mean, look, the hard truth is this: it doesn't matter. We're past the glory days of the MCU. Like the main characters, the main leaders. Now we're moving into like B and C team Avengers characters, right? Like they blew their wad, so to speak, in the first Infinity with like the best characters, the strongest Avengers. And unlike the comics, they can't keep going on forever. So we're only going to get middle tier Avengers or lower at this point. And wasn't there talk Doctor Strange was maybe going to take over as well?
See, like I feel like he's the go-to. Like he should be.
Right? But he was never really part of the Avengers in like the Infinity Saga. So, I don't know, man. Honestly, I just don't even know with the MCU anymore, like what they're going to do or what their mindset is.
Yeah, so. I was watching. God, what movie was on the other day, and it's just mind blowing to think that like you had so much, even in the early stages, right? I think it was like Iron Man 2 was on, and it's just like to think you're like, man, even in the movies, like I didn't care too much about them. They were just so, it was Iron Man 2, like they were just so good. Like even just like the casual introduction of like Black Widow.
Right? Oh yeah,
it's just like it was just done in like a natural thing, and everybody was just like, oh okay, cool. Like same thing, like. Black Panther was just casually brought in Civil War, and like you're all good with it. Now it's just like, and I also think it's also like people like us buying the idea of it's also speculative, right? Like we need to know everything. They need to tell you everything because I feel like back then things just happened and it was good, right? It was
true.
It was fine. Now it's like everything needs to be shown up in the front. Without it, we're not going to go see things.
I guess honestly, if you were to ask me what I thought like the future and how the MCU moves forward successfully is, and I think my thoughts are you move on from the Avengers and now you start to focus on X-Men and Fantastic Four. And so like I'm not saying those Avenger characters aren't still around, but I'm not entirely sure we need another Avengers movie with the team. I think you move on and like the Avengers can still be operating like we've seen in like various movies of like the side characters and the Avengers team's around, but we've moved past the glory days of the Avengers. I don't think a team with Shang-Chi and Shuri and Sam Wilson is going to be very strong for an Avengers movie. You know what I mean? I think you move on. You focus on X-Men, you focus on Fantastic Four, and you move the Avengers to a little bit of a supporting character role. I think that's how it was going to work because it's the only way to also breathe new blood into it as well.
I agree.
Not piss off fans because people are going to buck. Oh, there's no Cap. Oh, there's no Thor, no Iron Man, So,
yeah. Anyway. And I love all the rumors. I feel like, I think we said this last week with like Deadpool 3. It's just like all of a sudden, like the writer's strike and the actor strike, and there's all these rumors that people are just throwing out everywhere that everybody is showing up and everybody knows everything about every upcoming movie.
Yeah.
I mean, I just want to say something here on this podcast and then maybe it'll hit, right? Maybe it'll stick on somebody.
Say it. What do you want to say? Take a guess.
I don't know. I couldn't even tell you. Dark Hawk in the next space movie. There it is.
Boom.
Dark Hawk.
There
Get
are
your Dark Hawk ones, baby.
There's a lot of rumors about Ghost Rider kicking up as well, which, I mean, I feel like the writing was on the wall with that. So he's the next probably big character to not show up. So
yeah. When are you gonna go see Blue Beetle so we can talk about it?
I know. I gotta find some time this weekend. I'm gonna find an opportunity to go this weekend.
All right.
So I'll do it.
Go see Blue Beetle, people, please. It just beat out Barbie. Yes, whatever. Barbie's been out for a month, but go see it, and then we'll talk about our review.
Yeah. So let's move on and wrap it up like we always do. What we are currently reading this week. Did you get a chance to read them?
I did. There's a lot of stuff.
Let's see it. Let's hear it. What do you got?
So hot garbage of the week
Ooh.
is definitely Dr. Aphra number 35. I know me saying hot garbage for a Star Wars book. It, like, of all the Dark Droids tie-ins so far, it was the weakest, and it makes absolutely no sense. It's just, I don't even want to get into it. It's just terrible. But of course, if you're buying all the tie-ins, like, you have to get it, right? I enjoyed Marvel's Unleashed this week. Was a very interesting title with the Pet Avengers. You had Lucky the Pizza Dog. You have this new dog. You have, of course, Lockjaw. You have Falcon's what the hell's his name? Wingblade?
Red Wing?
Red Wing. Not Goose, because they don't call him Goose, but it's like something else. Chewie, of course, from Captain Marvel, the Flurkin. And you have an introduction of this new pet Avenger named D-Dog, which I swear he wears like he was an abandoned pup, and he grew up and he found in the garbage in like some landfill, he found some mask that I swear to God looks like Wolverine's mask. If you actually read it, it literally looks like Wolverine's mask. And they can talk to each other because obviously they're animals, but nobody else understands them. So the whole thing is Lockjaw gets taken by Craven, and some stuff happens where they're trying to find him, and they find him, and basically the end of the issue leads with this series going to be Blackheart being kind of like the villain, I guess. And all the animals are like, well, how can we fight another god? And of course they're looking for Throg. So interesting episode. It's Throg Thor. So it was interesting. I enjoyed it. And then just kind of like, and I'm sure you're going to talk about this one, so I'm not going to talk about it. Just some stuff from like last week, some holdovers. So Something Is Killing the Children 32. Not a very action-filled issue, but it expands the lore, more of the lore with Erica and with Cutter and Celia, like just the whole idea of all the masks and like how the council works. And I thought it was a very interesting issue. I finally caught up on Void Rivals 3, and they did a very good job in the last 2 issues expanding the lore of the whole Energon universe. And I'm surprised like not a lot of people are talking about it. So like there's that pig-faced creature, which is, I can't think of their species, but they were original. That's old G1. Of course you get the Quintessons, which was awesome to see. And then you get the Quintesson like ship that's from like the Transformers animated movie and ongoing seasons of Transformers. So that was really cool to see like a Quintesson. That was fucking awesome. Or no, not a Quintesson. I'm trying to think. The judges, my bad. Not the Quintesson judges, but that's cool. Like there's all there. So they're really building out that universe, right? Shout out to Binkies for getting me a Transformers 1 from SDCC. So I got to not read it because it doesn't have any of the words. It just has a lot of the pictures. So that was really awesome.
The Ashcan, right?
Yeah, the Ashcan is really awesome. But pick of the week, and I'm telling you people, if you're not reading this series, please pick it up. Something Epic is on issue 4. Are you reading it?
I am, but they're like that. I haven't read Something Is Killing Children, Something Epic, or Void Rivals yet because they're coming from DCBS still.
So Something Epic, totally. Like I talk about it every month when these issues come out. I don't know if you're not reading the series, it's so good. So the end of issue 3 kind of pushes the needle forward as far as time. Like it goes from Danny's being a kid and now he's like a grown up. Or I think it was like issue 2 or issue 3. He was
last issue. Yeah.
So he went from being a kid to an adult, and now this issue really is a deep dive origin on like why he can see, or like why people can see these creations, and they're basically they're not imaginations. Like they're actual things that people have created. Artists, that's what they do. Like they create these things and they either continue with their creation or they just forget about them. So in this issue, you learn a very origin story about it, why some of them are like incomplete because they've dropped off. And artists who listen to this, they would understand this. Like you start something and then you don't finish it, right? So like some of the characters are like half done or like missing body parts in a way because like they created most of it and they were like, oh, whatever. But you actually see, and this is a fucking amazing crossover, you actually see Spawn, Shadowhawk, Savage Dragon, and I think it's Ripclaw in this issue. And it's really them. It's legit them. And Danny says to the guy, you've read like the first 2 issues, right?
Yeah.
The old guy.
Uh-huh.
His name's Al. And he says, oh, well, he's like, who are those guys? He's like, oh, those are superheroes, whatever. He's like, oh, well, those are characters that the creators continued their love for them. So that's why they are who they are. And then you find out this whole thing of like who these people are, like who Danny is and this guy Al. They're called epics. So obviously that's why the name of the series is called Something Epic. So they basically bridge the gap. They kind of fall in this in-between world of the balance, right? So they make sure that everything that stays on like the imagination side is there, and then everything that stays on like the human side is there. So they kind of they walk like that in between world. So I think this series is so good.
Yeah,
I really think people need to read it.
Yeah.
So I really this issue is probably my favorite so far. When I literally was like turning the pages and I saw like all these characters from like Image and like from Valiant it was so good. I was like, holy shit! I was like, they actually used them. So because we've seen like characters like even in that first issue you saw kind of like characters that looked kind of like other characters but they weren't. This time it's legit Spawn and the other characters that have ongoing series in the real world. So very interesting series. I could definitely see this being like something because it's like ever watch like anything like Dick Tracy or like Cool World, like remember those like
Cool World was horrible, but yes.
Yeah, I know, but like you get the idea where that's what it's kind of like because it was like he created.
Yeah, that's kind of like Cool World.
He created these cartoons, and that's what it is like and then you see characters that were in the first 2 issues, but now like they've grown up, and you learn that they can actually evolve themselves. Like they can get older, they can, even though they may be forgotten or whatever, they can actually they have a conscious. Some of them don't understand that they do, and don't understand like why the people don't talk to them. Basically, like you could have like a creature that's like right by you, and like they can be talking to you, but you don't see them, and they don't understand why you can't interact with them. So good, man, so good. So that's my pick of the week. Something Epic, number 4. What about you?
Honorable mention. I liked Jean Grey #1 Fall of X tie-in that came out. I really found the Fall of X little tie-ins have been really strong for the most part. And I really liked it. It was kind of a return to the original X-Men who came forward in time and then went back in time. So that was kind of fun. I also really enjoyed, not surprising, I actually kind of felt like I had pretty high hopes for it as well, was the Immortal Thor by Al Ewing. #1 started, obviously Al Ewing did Immortal Hulk. So there's high expectations with this series, but I liked what they're doing with it. It does seem like he's going a different direction, which he kind of did with Immortal Hulk as well. So taking Thor in a different like route and like break him out of his norm, which is cool because I'm gonna be honest, I don't read a lot of Thor. I mean, I guess I've read more of the modern Thor stuff. Thor's not really a character I find very interesting. And to be honest, neither was Hulk until Immortal Hulk by Al Ewing. So anyway, I enjoyed the Immortal Thor. And then, I mean, my pick of the week, Penguin #1.
Figured you take that. That's why I didn't touch it.
It was really good, man. Really awesome by Tom King. And it's not like anything really happened in it at all, like it was.
Yeah.
It wasn't like the like you said, the needle moved forward very strongly. Obviously, it's a first issue as well, but it starts off with like something kind of intense happened, and then it goes into obviously what happened in the flashback type situation, and just the way people talk about the Penguin was just kind of funny to me. I don't think it's funny out in the comic book world. They think they're really afraid of the Penguin. Like for me, I'm like, he isn't intimidating at all. But I think that's also cool because he's such an old school character for Batman that hasn't really had any kind of like renaissance anytime soon. You know what I mean? You've seen a lot of Batman villains kind of get this renaissance and kind of come back and be like, okay, let's make these guys scarier and like tougher again. And it doesn't feel like the Penguin's had that at all in a really long time. He's always kind of in the background. He runs the Iceberg Lounge. He's this criminal, blah blah blah. But he's never like thwarts Batman at all. This is a different tone, and I'm excited to see where it goes. I was really looking forward to this title, just because it was. I mean, I remember when seeing the solicitation for the Penguin and being like, "What? They're going to do a Penguin solo? Like, okay, like I'm here for it. I want to see what this is going to be like." And I wasn't disappointed. What about you? Did you like it?
Yeah, I thoroughly enjoyed it. The whole, and at this point, I feel like people, if you don't know what happened, like he basically quote unquote got killed by Batman, and he's living the life of a normal human person out in Metropolis. Like they think he's dead. He's living his life with fiance and has a normal job basically and does these things. But now what happens in this issue is the whole like now he's going to be like an informant for like the FBI basically, but he's going to go back to being like a crime lord. Like that's the whole thing. I thought it was amazing. Like they did a great job, and like you said, like the way the issue starts out. And what's really good is like there's times where, and I guess I don't want to I don't really talk too much about it, but like there's times where there's the inner monologue and you don't know who's really speaking. Right?
Yeah. You're like, wondering if it was it him. Like you always had to it took you a while to figure out if you're actually getting his monologue or not.
Yes. Yeah, like what's going on in that scene? Like, is it the person that's trying to do something to him, or is it Penguin's interpretation of what's going on in that scene at that moment? So I like that. And well, of course, it's Tom King, so great writer.
Yeah, really, really good. Even if you're not like a Penguin fan, or if you didn't think you were going to be interested in it, I would highly suggest picking it up because it's a little something different, and I think it's going to be fun moving forward for sure. So, but that's it for this week. Episode 34 in the books. Like Justin mentioned earlier, he's got a Whatnot show coming up tonight, but that's not tonight. That's tomorrow night. So it's very confusing. So if you listen to it Friday, he might be live Friday.
Yeah. And I think I'm actually doing one Sunday morning too. I have a bunch of books. This weekend, you can, if you're here in the New Jersey, New York area, BotCon, the Transformers convention, I should be hitting it up on Saturday. I want to check it out. Like I said, I haven't been to a BotCon at all. I've known about them for over 20 years. Never been to one. I always bought like the books and heard about it. And obviously it's all Transformers. So I'm excited to do that. And then actually Saturday morning, I will be out in the Bronx for the BX Comic Expo. So you can go check that out on Instagram, BX Comic Expo. I don't have the address off the top of my head, but I'll be out there for anybody who's hanging out. It's BX Anime Comic Expo. You can grab your tickets. It's only a one-day show on the 26th. It's over at 1315 Olmsted Ave in the Bronx. So they actually got some guests out there as well. And, both Pokemon people, like Transformer voiced people, like I said, the Pokemon stuff, and then just some vendors. So hopefully I'll find some, new stuff, some cool books that I've, been looking for as well. So we'll see. That's it.
Cool. Thanks for tuning in, everybody, and we will catch you next week.